Rain lashed the carriage windows as Lady Evelina Harcourt stepped into the blazing grandeur of the Montclair ball, her pulse a frantic flutter beneath the stiff lace of a gown. She had promised herself she would not tremble, not bow to the stares that sliced like cold knives. Her family's survival depended upon this illusion of calm. Inside, chandeliers dazzled like constellations. Silk gowns rustled, laughter sparkled, and violins soared with merciless cheer. Evelina's gloved hands tightened at her waist as whispers pirouetted behind her. Fallen fortune, broken betrothal, a lady stripped of value. Then she saw him, Lord Benedict Ashford, once her future, now the architect of her ruin. His dark eyes slid to her, lips curving in a smile she once adored and now feared. "My dear Lady Evelina," he called, voice smooth as polished marble, coated in venom. "How brave of you to re-emerge. One might think you hunt for a fresh benefactor." A circle of curious faces turned. Evelina held her chin high. "Good evening, Lord Ashford." "Oh, exceedingly good," he purred. "For some of us, fortune remains faithful." His companion, the glittering Lady Corinne, hid a smirk behind her fan. Evelina's throat constricted. Ashford stepped closer, his whisper a dagger. "You are here to beg, though you pretend otherwise. A ruined rose cannot bloom again." Her vision blurred. The room spun. She fled. Marble floors echoed beneath her as she slipped into dim corridors unused by ladies seeking admiration. Shadows cooled her burning cheeks. Shame chased her like a hound. She needed refuge, silence, breath. A door stood ajar. She slipped inside. The bedchamber breathed warmth and sandalwood. Embers glowed in the hearth. Heavy curtains swallowed moonlight. Evelina pressed her back to the door, willing her heart to slow. Then, movement. A figure emerged from the darkness, tall and impeccably composed. "My lady," he said, voice deep as a midnight vow, "though misfortune may hasten your steps, you trespass upon a duke's solitude." Evelina's breath caught. His Grace, Arthur Blackthorne, a man of power and guarded repute. Society feared his judgments, envied his wealth, and speculated about his heart, if he had one left to claim. She curtsied, trembling. "Forgive me. I sought only a moment of quiet." He regarded her as though he saw the very ache beneath her ribs. "Pursued?" he asked. "No," she lied, voice thin. He stepped nearer, eyes sharp yet not unkind. "I observed Lord Ashford's performance. Cruelty is so often mistaken for conversation in these halls." Her composure wavered. No one had dared name her suffering aloud. "I should retain," she whispered. "I must not impose." "You are not imposing." His tone was iron wrapped in velvet. Footsteps neared. Voices, Ashford among them. Panic seized her limbs. The Duke closed the door, locking it with a soft, decisive click. "Compose yourself," he murmured. "You are safe." Ashford's voice drifted through the wood. "She cannot have gone far. A spectacle unfinished is hardly satisfying." Blackthorne's jaw tightened. "He is unworthy of your fay." Evelina's knees weakened. The Duke extended his hand. She placed her trembling fingers atop the leather of his glove. Warmth steadied her. Ashford lingered just beyond. Then, silence, retreating footsteps. Relief washed over her in a trembling wave. "Thank you," she breathed. He still held her hand. A lady wronged is not a lady diminished. Her lips parted, startled by the defense she had yearned for yet never expected. "Tell me," he said quietly, "who has Dade wound you?" The question seemed to unlock every buried ache. Yet shame cinched her voice tight. "I was engaged," she whispered, "until financial disgrace made me unworthy." A shadow crossed his gaze. Understanding, not pity. "Then he is a coward." She shook her head, tears welling. "He made certain all of London knows my humiliation." Blackthorne released her only to offer a linen handkerchief, richly embroidered, absurdly gentle. "You did not deserve betrayal," he said. "That truth matters, whether others speak it or not." Her tears fell silently. For a fleeting moment, she felt seen, not as scandal, but as someone worth defending. "Do not let them break you," he continued. "The world devours the vulnerable, but it has yet to learn how swiftly hope can rise. Hope! She had nearly forgotten its shape. I must return before my absence invites gossip, she murmured. It already has, he replied. But I suspect gossip fears the light of truth more than it admits. Their eyes held, magnetic, questioning, dangerous. He stepped aside to grant her passage, though his presence felt like a vow kept close. As she reached the door, he spoke once more, voice soft but inescapable. If ever you find yourself cornered again, Lady Evelina, remember this. You need not face cruelty alone. Yet as the door closed behind her, Evelina paused in the quiet corridor, hand to her heart. His voice lingered like warmth against the chill of humiliation still clinging to her skin. She heard Ashford's laugh, the whispers waiting outside, but the Duke's steadiness held her upright. She breathed, wishing courage might last longer than candlelight. Why would Arthur Blackthorne, feared by all, offer her shelter? Was it pity, or recognition of a loneliness he understood? Her footsteps resumed, soft and uncertain. Ashford would not be satisfied. New torment surely awaited. Yet a thought sparked beneath the weight. Someone powerful had seen her pain and refused to turn away. Approaching the ballroom's glitter once more, Evelina lifted her chin. The night had wounded her deeply, but somewhere in the shadows, a duke had chosen to stand between her and the wolves, and she feared, with dread, that her heart had noticed. Rain had ceased by the time Evelina returned to the ballroom, yet the storm inside her persisted. Chandeliers gleamed like watchful eyes, and every laugh seemed sharpened to wound. She moved carefully through the crowd, her breath unsteady but her posture unbroken. Her mother sat near the wall, fatigue veiled behind polite smiles. One glance between them reminded Evelina why she must endure. Their family's name hung by a thread. Across the room, Ashford danced with Lady Corinne, looking entirely pleased with his conquest. When his gaze met Evelina's, triumph glinted, a silent message that he had replaced her without hesitation. She felt the sting but refused to look away first. Whispers swirled like invisible currents. She vanished earlier. With whom? The Duke was missing too. Surely there is a tale. Evelina focused on breathing, on not collapsing beneath scrutiny. A servant approached. A message, my lady. Confusion fluttered. On the tray lay a white rose, tied with black satin, the Duke's colors. A murmur spread instantly. Her mother's eyes widened with dread. Evelina's heart hammered. She had not courted his notice, yet a symbol from a duke carried consequences. Arthur Blackthorne appeared by her side. Forgive my boldness, he said quietly, but I believe courage deserved recognition. One rose cannot silence gossip, she answered. No, he replied, but it may divert its aim. Before she could respond, the orchestra shifted into a waltz. Arthur extended his hand. Evelina hesitated, then decided humiliation would not rule her steps tonight. She placed her gloved fingers in his. The room seemed to hold its breath. The Duke and the disgraced lady glided into the dance, every turn a defiance. His presence steadied her, her pulse slowed, guided by his certainty. Do not shrink from their stays, he murmured. Those who feast upon scandal are starving for meaning. She almost smiled. And what do you feast upon, your grace? Truth, he said, however unfashionable. When the dance ended, he bowed with reverence seldom shown to women deemed unworthy. Evelina curtsied back, afraid her gratitude was too obvious. Ashford appeared, disdain sharpening his features. How resourceful of you, he drawled, trading futures so swiftly. Arthur's voice dropped into warning. A gentleman respects ladies. Then I have been misled about my nature, Ashford replied, lips curling. He retreated, but poison lingered in his look. Evelina fought the urge to tremble. You should not embroil yourself in my troubles. I involve myself where honor is neglected, Arthur said simply. The night suffocated. She escaped to the terrace. Moonlight cooled her flushed skin, though unease clung stubbornly. She inhaled the rosy scent, but peace shattered when Ashford arrived. Do you imagine a duke's favor changes what you are? He spat. A family ruined. Who would dare keep such a burden? Step aside, she said, voice steady. "You belong to me." "I belong to myself," she answered. "And still do." His fingers clamped around her wrist. Panic fled, until the terrace door burst open. Arthur strode out, gaze lethal. "Release her." Ashford let go, though with visible reluctance. "Enjoy the spectacle while it lasts," he sneered before leaving. Evelina exhaled shakily. "He is relentless." "Predators dislike prey that resists," Arthur said. "And you resist with admirable fire." Taze threatened, but she refused to allow them victory. "I am so tired of being an object for ridicule." "You are not," he insisted. "Those who mock you are terrified of a woman who will not collapse." Silence deepened, charged with something neither dared name. His hand brushed hers, accidental or deliberate, she could not tell, but warmth unfurled through her like dawn. "Why show me such regard?" she whispered. "We barely know one another." He considered, sincerity softening his stern composure. "Because I recognize courage and loneliness. They often travel together." The admission struck something long buried inside her. Hope, faint yet persistent. She stepped back, gathering composure. "You must not sacrifice your reputation." "I do not fear damage," he replied. "Only apathy." Before she could respond, her mother appeared. "Evelina, the carriage awaits." Arthur bowed. "Until we meet again." But the night refused to conclude its drama so neatly. As Evelina and her mother crossed the foyer, clusters of guests turned to observe the fallen family's retreat. Murmurs followed like serpents. "Did you see him hold her?" "The Duke never dances without purpose." "Perhaps she aims higher than before." Evelina kept her gaze forward, each step a battle against the urge to flee again. The world's cruelty would greet them at breakfast. In the carriage, darkness enclosed her, but safety did not follow. Her mother clasped her hand. "My dearest, we should be grateful he showed kindness." "Kindness," Evelina echoed, though the word felt too dangerous. She watched raindrops chase one another down the glass as London receded. Exhaustion pressed heavy, yet something potent stirred. Tonight had altered her story. Back inside the ballroom, Arthur stood near the terrace doors, gaze fixed where she had stood. He told himself it was concern. His heartbeat argued otherwise. For the first time in years, he felt fate nudge him from isolation. He noticed Ashford watching him, that smug smile returning. The battle had only begun. As Evelina departed, the rose, his token, rested against her heart. The carriage wheels creaked into darkness. The flower's fragrance felt like defiance, like possibility. London's whispers would be merciless at dawn. Yet within her, a quiet shift had begun. She was no longer merely surviving humiliation. She was confronting it. And though the world waited to judge, one man had looked upon her and seen worth. She gazed once more at the white rose. For the first time since her ruin began, she allowed herself a dangerous thought. Perhaps she was not broken. Perhaps she was becoming. And she felt it deeply. Rain returned in earnest the next afternoon, as though the heavens themselves wished to erase the memory of whispered cruelty. Evelina hurried through the iron gates of the Blackthorn estate, clutching a borrowed cloak to her throat. She had come not for comfort but necessity. Her mother needed medicine they could no longer afford, and the Duke's physician had offered aid. That alone should have been reason enough. Yet as she crossed the threshold, Evelina was painfully aware she was entering the domain of a man whose kindness unsettled her composure more than any insult could. A footman led her through hushed corridors lined with ancestral portraits. Gaslight flickered against the edges of her anxiety. The storm outside roared, rattling the glass like a warning. She willed herself to breathe, to remain composed. She must not mistake generosity for attachment. The footman bowed before a heavy oak door. "His Grace awaits, my lady." Inside, a fire crackled in the cavernous library, illuminating shelves that stretched toward a painted ceiling. Arthur Blackthorne stood by the window, one gloved hand braced against the pane as if holding the world at bay. He turned as she entered, expression softened by surprise. "Lady Evelina," he greeted. "I had not expected you so swiftly." She curtsied. "Forgive the intrusion, Your Grace. I would not have come if the need were not pressing." "It is no intrusion," he said. Your mother's well-being is of utmost concern. I will ensure the apothecary delivers what she requires. Relief fluttered in her chest. Thank you. He motioned toward a chair near the fire. You are drenched. Pray, warm yourself. The storm shows no mercy today. Evelina hesitated only a moment before obeying. The fire's heat encircled her, drawing sensation back into her chilled fingers. Arthur removed his gloves and stood a modest distance away, though his gaze remained attentive. How does she fare? He asked quietly. She is weary, Evelina replied. Worry has devoured her strength more than illness. Her voice faltered. I fear I am the cause. You are the cue, he countered gently. You shoulder burdens others would have abandoned. She looked down, embarrassed by how desperately she needed to hear such words. There are truths I cannot outrun, she confessed. Ashford has ensured they haunt us. Arthur's jaw tightened. Tell me. Lightning cast white fire across his features. Evelina stayed into the hearth, trying to steady her voice. My father trusted the wrong man. His business partner gambled away everything. Our estate, our savings, our future. When ruin fell upon us, Ashford declared our engagement void. She swallowed, ashamed of how raw the memory remained. He claimed affection cannot conquer poverty. Arthur stepped closer. Affection that withers at the first chill is no affection at all. A fragile laugh escaped her. Perhaps, but society agrees with him. Society, he said with disdain, is a chorus of cowards pretending to be kings. Evelina's breath stilled. Do you truly care so little for their approval? I learned long ago their favor is a fickle prize, he said. They cheered my brother until the day he died. Then they whispered that tragedy was a stain upon our blood. A pause stretched between them, filled with rain and unspoken grief. Evelina rose slowly, drawn nearer by instinct rather than courage. I am sorry, she murmured. Loss is a language I wish none must speak. His gaze met hers, unguarded, bruised by memory. He was my closest friend, Arthur said, and I failed him. I trusted promises that concealed avarice and deceit. I have not forgiven myself. Lightning crackled once more, revealing the turbulence beneath his stoic mask. Evelina reached out before fear could stop her. Her fingertips brushed his forearm, a simple gesture, yet it felt like the crossing of a vast distance. You bear his death as though you caused it, she whispered. But blame resides with those who betrayed you both. He did not pull away. Trust is a fragile currency, he murmured. I have spent it poorly. The fire hissed, shadows deepening around them. Evelina felt something shifting, two isolated souls inching closer to something neither believed they deserved. I fear vulnerability, she admitted, voice a trembling thread. Because every time I have hoped, the world has punished me for it. Arthur's stare held a storm of its own. Hope is not a crime, he said. It is defiance. A shiver coursed through her. He stood so near now that she could feel the warmth of his breath, smell cedar and winter smoke clinging to his coat. Her chest tightened with a longing both terrifying and thrilling. Evelina, he said, voice low enough to be a secret. If I overstep, tell me so. She could not speak. His hand lifted, hesitant, reverent, and he brushed a stray curl from her cheek. The world narrowed to the space between their lips, the promise of solace found in forbidden closeness. A thunderclap broke like a warning. Evelina startled, and Arthur withdrew, eyes dark with restraint. I fear I have imposed upon your struggle, he said. Forgive me. You have offered me understanding, she replied. That is no imposition. He bowed his head slightly, as though her gratitude was more intimate than any touch. If ever you should need refuge, this house welcomes you. Just then, hurried footsteps approached. A servant burst through the library doors, breathless and pale. Your Grace, urgent news. Lord Ashford has spread word throughout London. He claims Lady Evelina compromised herself in your bedchamber last night. The world lurched. Evelina's stomach hollowed with dread. Blackthorn's eyes hardened to steel. Then he shall learn what it means, the Duke vowed, to malign a lady under my protection. Evelina's hand flew to her mouth, breath fractured into panic. The room tilted, the air thinning. Shame threatened to crush her, yet beneath it, anger sparked, long denied. Arthur stepped closer, his presence a shield. This was no mere kindness now. This was battle. His eyes held a vow. Ashford's cruelty would not ever be the final word. Evelina scarcely felt the floor beneath her feet as she fled the Blackthorn library. Rain hammered the windows like fists demanding entry, but the storm within her was louder still. Shame clutched her throat. The scandal Ashford unleashed would spread like wildfire through parched gossip. Though Arthur promised retribution, she knew how swiftly society would condemn a woman and how slowly it would forgive. He could withstand the blast. She could not allow herself to be its cause. Her mother slept restlessly when Evelina returned home, unaware of the fresh cruelty awaiting morning light. Evelina sat beside her bed until the candles burned low, promising herself she would protect what remained of their name, even if it meant disappearing completely from society's gaze. Perhaps especially then. She woke before dawn, compelled to act before courage dissolved into fear. A hastily written note explained she must visit a distant cousin who might offer quiet refuge. She kissed her mother's brow and whispered an apology she could not fully voice. Then she left. The carriage wheels clattered through mist-wrapped streets, each turn taking her farther from the city's cutting eyes. But as they crossed the Blackthorn Estate's borders on the way out of London, riders appeared, 4 guards in the Duke's livery. The carriage halted. Arthur dismounted swiftly, rain beating on his shoulders like silver armor. He opened the door without waiting for permission. "You are running," he said, breath visible in the cold. "I should have known." She clutched her cloak tighter. "I must protect my mother, and you. If I remain, the scandal will consume us all. You expect my compliance in your self-sacrifice." His expression was equal parts fury and hurt. "I will not accept your disappearance without explanation. I have offered to shield you, and I refuse to let you pay the price for my ruin," she replied. "I have caused enough harm." "You have caused none," he insisted. "Ashford alone holds guilt." Evelina's voice shook. "Yet the world blames the woman first. You know this." Arthur's jaw clenched. The guards retreated several paces at a subtle gesture. This moment, he needed no audience. "You think leaving spares me?" he asked, stepping closer. "It does the opposite. I will be searching while they whisper. I will be wondering if you are safe while they laugh." She tried to look away, but his presence held her fast. "Your Grace." "My name is Arthur," he said fiercely. "Say it. Let me be a man, not a title." Her breath trembled. "Arthur." He exhaled her name like a prayer. "Do not make me regret showing my heart." Her pulse stuttered. "Do not give me more heart to lose." The air between them warped with tension, desire forbidden by propriety, restrained by fear. He took her hand, cold from rain. "Let me fight for you," he begged quietly. "You need not vanish into silence." Tears glazed her eyes. "I would rather endure silence than become the weapon used to destroy you." "It is too late," he murmured. "My reputation is already theirs to shred. They will not stop because you hide." She pulled her hand free, though the loss of his touch burned. "You do not understand what they will say. They already claim I compromised myself in your chamber. They will declare you weak for defending me." "Then let them," he replied. "I have not lived my life to please cowards. For a man unbothered by society's scorn, you have not felt how deeply its talons pierce," she said. "They deny employment, destroy prospects, inflict starvation. My family already bears those scars. I cannot let them mark you too." Arthur's gaze softened, not pity, but admiration like a steady flame. "Your strength astonishes me," he said. "But must bravery always demand self-destruction?" "It is not destruction. It is survival," she whispered. He moved nearer until rain and breath entwined between them. Survival is not living. Their foreheads nearly touched. Evelina felt the pull of longing stronger than any hand restraining her. How easy it would be to surrender. How unthinkable. "I'm undeserving of your devotion," she said, voice breaking. "I have nothing left to offer you." "You have yourself," he answered, "and that is more than enough." His gloved fingers brushed her cheek, tracing sorrow like scripture. She leaned into the warmth before reason reclaimed her. "I must go," she whispered. He caught her wrist, not forceful, but pleading. "If you leave now, I may never see you again. And that I cannot bear." Evelina's heart cracked open. "Then let us part before suffering deepens." Arthur released her slowly, as if letting go was the hardest act he had ever committed. Rain blurred the edge of his composure. "If you walk away," he said, voice low and raw, "you walk away with all the pieces of a heart I did not believe still existed." Thunder rolled. Evelina almost returned to him, to warmth, to hope. But her mother's frailty, Ashford's vengeance, society's hunger for ruin, all screamed that love was a luxury she could not afford. "Goodbye," she breathed. She climbed back into the carriage. Arthur stepped back, drenched and unshielded, watching her as though she were the only star in a collapsing universe. The driver cracked the reins, and the carriage lurched forward. Evelina wiped tears that refused to stop. She told herself she had chosen wisely. She told herself sacrifice was noble. She told herself love could wait. Yet every lie fractured her chest more deeply. As distance swallowed the Duke's figure, Evelina felt hope dim inside her. She pressed the white rose to her heart, trying to remember its scent. Behind her, Arthur stood unmoving in the rain, determination slowly replacing despair. If society insisted on weaponizing honor, he would wield his more fiercely. Ashford had crossed a line, and the Duke would not leave him unchallenged. Far ahead, the horizon darkened with gathering storm clouds. Evelina did not look back, but fate was already racing after her. The battle for her dignity had only begun. Snow blanketed the countryside as Evelina's carriage crawled along the narrow road leading to her childhood estate, the world outside a quiet shroud of white mocking the chaos inside her heart. She pressed her forehead to the frosted glass, breath clouding the window as she tried to convince herself the path she had chosen was righteous. Sacrifice, she told herself. Freedom for the Duke. Safety for her mother. But each repetition sounded weaker, more desperate, as though she were pleading with a ghost of certainty she no longer possessed. The estate came into view, smaller than she remembered, its once grand facade dulled by neglect. Empty windows stared back at her like forgotten ghosts. She stepped into the biting air, clutching her cloak tight as the footman led her inside. The scent of dust and old memories greeted her. A few servants still remained, loyal and weary. Her aunt, the distant relative she hoped would offer sanctuary, looked upon Evelina with cold courtesy. "You will stay," her aunt said, "but only until arrangements can be made. We must prevent further scandal." Her voice left no room for comfort. Evelina nodded, grateful for a roof, though exile pierced deeper than any insult. She wandered into the drawing room, once bustling with laughter. Now, silence clung like cobwebs. Snow tapped against the panes, demanding notice. She sank into an old settee, and the white rose from Arthur slipped from her cloak and landed upon the faded carpet. Evelina froze. The bloom, though bruised by travel, still held its sweet fragrance. Her heart clenched. "Forget him," she whispered. "Forget before it destroys you." But tears spilled anyway. She buried her face in trembling hands. Why had hope come so late? Hours passed under dimming winter light. Evelina's aunt insisted she rest, yet sleep eluded her. She paced the corridors, every creak echoing abandonment. Each step reminded her she had left the one person who saw her worth beyond fortune and fault. And now he was beyond reach. Or so she believed. Hooves thundered against the frozen ground outside. Evelina halted, breath snapping shallow. Voices rose in urgent shouts. A door flung open. Snow whirled in, carried by a fierce wind. And then Arthur stood framed in the entry, his coat dusted with frost, his expression storm fierce. Her heart misfired. "Your Grace." "Arthur," he corrected, voice harsh with exhaustion. "You promised me goodbye, but there is no farewell I will accept." She stumbled back, startled by his arrival, by the raw intensity in his eyes. "You should not be here," she whispered. "If they see us, let them see." He strode closer, boots echoing through the hall. I refuse to let malicious tongues dictate our lives. You do not understand the danger, she insisted. Your title, your future, mean nothing without you. He cut in. I would burn every reputation built upon cruelty. Her breath hitched. Arthur, you cannot. I can, he said, quieter now but unwavering. Because you are the one thing that has made me believe there is still goodness worth defending. Evelina's resolve wavered under the weight of his conviction. Fear and longing collided within her, threatening to shatter restraint. I left to protect you. You left to punish yourself, he replied. That is a battle I will not let you fight alone. His hand lifted to her cheek, thumb brushing the trail of a tear. I rode through half the night fearing I would be too late. Tell me now, do you truly wish me gone? Silence engulfed the space between them, vast as the years she spent hardening her heart. She wanted to say yes, to shield him. Instead, truth broke free in a whisper. No. Relief flickered through his eyes, hope striking like a match in darkness. Then accept what your courage has earned. Evelina trembled, overwhelmed by what surrender would mean. I do not know how to step forward, she confessed. Every path feels like a risk that could ruin us both. Then step with me, he said. We will face the consequences together. Let society try to shame us. I will show them devotion they cannot stain. He knelt. No audience, just a man made humble by love. From his coat he drew a ring, simple yet exquisitely crafted. Evelina Harcourt, he said softly, be my wife not to restore your name, but because you are the finest soul I have ever known. Her tears came freely, not from grief but from the terrifying possibility of joy. You would bind yourself to scandal. To loyalty, he corrected. To a woman who still stands despite every attempt to break her. To the heartbeat that reminds mine why it endures. She reached for him, fingertips trembling against his jaw. Then yes, she breathed, I will marry you. Arthur rose and gathered her into his arms, and in that moment the cavernous house brightened, as though love alone rekindled its slumbering warmth. He kissed her with reverence, sealing not just a promise but a future rebuilt from ruins. A door creaked. Evelina's aunt watched from the threshold, scandal widening her eyes before indignation tightened them. Arthur turned to her, tone decisive. We shall announce our engagement at once, and let anyone who condemns her answer to me. The aunt's expression faltered, respect battling shock. She offered a stiff nod and withdrew. Evelina leaned into Arthur, the weight of fear easing. Snow glittered against the window, no longer a symbol of isolation but of beginnings. You found me, she whispered. I will always find you, he replied, pressing a kiss to her brow. Even if the world conspires to hide you away. She smiled, small but fierce. For the first time in so long, hope did not feel like rebellion, it felt like truth. And as they stood together, bound by vows not yet spoken but deeply understood, Evelina knew the battle was far from over. But she would no longer fight alone. Yet outside, unseen eyes watched, ready to twist their love into the next whispered scandal, imminently, dangerously.